I use many methods to engage my students. I use PowerPoint slideshows, but I have modified them to include lots of color, and they're animated so that the classroom lecture style is very interactive. I'm always thinking of ways or things to add to demonstrate concepts. So for example, I was grocery shopping in Myers and I happened to walk past the crafts aisle and I saw these little styrofoam balls, and I thought, well, if I paint those can represent carbons and hydrogens and so on and so forth. And so now I do this whole demonstration to demonstrate how the molecules break apart and how they come together. And the students really seem to respond to that. It makes more sense to them. The thing that jumped in my mind is how I use what's called a participation score. I give students 100 points to start out with, and then they are challenged to keep those points. They seem to really respond to that challenge. And so there are deductions when they're absent, even if it is a legitimate reason for absence, but then they have to then make up the work, make up the lecture notes, and so on in order to earn back those points. And so I see that the students really respond to that, because in the past when students are absent, I notice that their test scores go down and things like that. And then now that I've instituted that policy, students keep up with the work and they do and maintain their performance. So I really try to make sure that I get to know the students and their kind of individual needs. At the beginning of the semester, I have them fill out a form and they indicate, what resources they have access to, what they think will be their challenges to being successful in the class, and so on, so that the student understands that I am caring about their particular individual situation, and I do my best then to monitor those aspects and speak to students individually. If it appears there might be a language issue, I point them to resources that can help them out. That's another thing too, making sure that they are very aware of all the resources they have to support here at Triton. So equity, I think I just do naturally in the talking about inclusiveness. Again, it's about that noticing. I think a lot of students, they want to know that their teacher cares about them, and all teachers say they care about their students, but it's about demonstrating that caring by checking in with them if they're struggling. Identifying those students that are struggling, approach them separately, and so on and so forth. So usually my conversations with students are about what's the barrier that's stopping you from being successful. Let's talk about how we can together figure out how to overcome those barriers. I often talk about embracing the struggle. Learning is a struggle. Embrace it. It's supposed to be struggling. If you're struggling, that means you're learning and challenging yourself. So the learning and how to learn, again, is one of my main goals for students in my class. Not only to learn the biology, but learn how to learn. They can take that skills onto other courses throughout their college career or even into their professional career. So I try as often as possible to demonstrate why it's important for them to take a biology class. And of course, in this time of COVID, that's a no-brainer in terms of relevancy for biology. Some other examples would be when we go through chemistry, we talk about what those carbohydrates are and the proteins and the lipids. So we go through what a healthy diet is. When you look at that nutritional label, now they know what a saturated fat versus an unsaturated fat is and which one they want to avoid. Even things that might not seem relevant to their life. I just went over photosynthesis right? How important those plants are. They're working really hard for us. They're giving our air to breathe. They are giving us our food. And so, appreciate that. And so I show pictures. I've got pictures of me hugging trees all over the country and my family members. I even get students who send me photos of them hugging trees. So I know how that they're learning during lectures. I include review questions. So we go over, they answer the question on their own. Then I poll them. Doesn't have to be, technology involved. I just have them close their eyes and then raise their hand when they, for the correct answer. And then we go over them. Now, many people do practice exams. Maybe the way I do it is a little differently. I do, again, choose questions on the exams that students struggle on most. They go on to the practice exam. So the practice exam does not include all questions in the exam, but that gives them an opportunity to struggle and make those mistakes before the exam. After the first exam, I do have them do what's called a study assessment. So those are a series of questions that, yes and no questions basically, saying, do you check your emails? Are you checking Blackboard regularly? Do you know when assignments are due? And things like that, so they can kind of assess where they need to improve